Welcome, brave souls, to the haunted narrative where the strange, the spooky, and the unexplained come to life. Tonight, we're diving deep into a tale that will chill you to the bone. You think you're ready, but are you really? Before we begin, if you love creepy stories, mysterious encounters, and things that go bump in the night, make sure to hit that subscribe button. It's the only way to survive what's coming next. Alright, turn off the lights, get comfortable, and let's journey into the unknown together. But be warned, you may not sleep tonight. Patrick was undeniably a unique presence in our school, and his peculiar behavior and appearance set him apart from the other students in ways that were hard to ignore. One of his most distinctive features was his signature grey hoodie, which he wore almost every day, regardless of the weather. The hoodie seemed to envelop him, creating a barrier between him and the world, as if he were trying to shield himself from the scrutiny of his peers. This choice of clothing became a symbol of his social awkwardness, making him appear even more isolated in a sea of brightly dressed classmates. The way he pulled the hood tightly around his face often left only his eyes visible, which added an air of mystery to his already enigmatic persona. Adding to his oddity was Patrick's habit of wearing sunglasses indoors. It was a bizarre choice that left many of us puzzled. While some speculated that he was trying to be cool or emulate a celebrity, others whispered that it was a way for him to avoid eye contact, a shield against the social interactions he found so challenging. The dark lenses obscured his eyes, making it difficult to gauge his emotions or intentions, which only heightened the sense of unease among those who encountered him. This combination of the grey hoodie and sunglasses created a striking image, one that was both intriguing and unsettling. Patrick's social interactions were equally peculiar. He had a strange habit of adopting peers, often gravitating towards students who seemed more outgoing or popular. It was as if he sought validation through their acceptance, but his approach was often clumsy and awkward. He would hover near groups, trying to insert himself into conversations, but his timing was off, and his comments often felt out of place. This behavior led to a mix of curiosity and discomfort among classmates. Some were intrigued by his attempts to connect, while others felt a sense of unease, unsure of how to respond to his overtures. The result was a palpable tension in the air whenever Patrick was around, as students exchanged glances, unsure whether to engage with him or to retreat into their own circles. As the days turned into weeks, Patrick's peculiarities became a topic of conversation. Whispers circulated about his odd habits, and while some students felt sympathy for him, others were simply bewildered. The combination of his unusual appearance, his social missteps, and the air of mystery that surrounded him created an environment ripe for speculation. It was a strange dynamic, one that left many of us feeling both curious about Patrick and uncomfortable in his presence. His behavior was a constant reminder of how complex social interactions can be, and how easily they can tip from intrigue into discomfort. It was a typical afternoon behind the high school, where a group of friends gathered in the dugouts, seeking refuge from the chaos of the school day. The sun hung low in the sky, casting long shadows across the worn benches and the cracked concrete floor. The air was thick with the scent of grass and the distant sounds of laughter from the nearby soccer field. It was a place where we often shared secrets, jokes, and the occasional gossip about crushes. On this particular day, the conversation had turned to relationships, and we were animatedly discussing our latest crushes, exchanging playful banter and teasing one another about our romantic interests. As we laughed and shared stories, the atmosphere was light and carefree, until suddenly, Patrick appeared out of nowhere. He emerged from the shadows of the trees that bordered the dugouts, his grey hoodie pulled tight around him, and his sunglasses reflecting the fading sunlight. The abruptness of his arrival sent a chill through the group, as if the temperature had dropped several degrees. It was an unexpected intrusion that disrupted our jovial mood, and for a moment, we all exchanged puzzled glances, unsure of how to react. Patrick stood there silently, his presence creating an eerie atmosphere that felt out of place amidst our laughter. The group's reaction was a mix of surprise and discomfort. We had grown accustomed to Patrick's unusual behavior, but his sudden appearance felt particularly unsettling. He stood just outside the dugout, his eyes hidden behind the dark lenses of his sunglasses, making it impossible to read his expression. The silence stretched on, and the tension in the air was palpable. In an attempt to break the awkwardness, one of my friends, Jake, tried to lighten the mood. "Hey, Patrick, you here to steal our secrets about crushes?" he joked, forcing a laugh that felt strained. The rest of us joined in, chuckling nervously, trying to find humor in the situation to mask our unease. Patrick, however, didn't respond in the way we expected. Instead, he stepped closer, his gaze fixed on our group with an intensity that made us all shift uncomfortably. "I heard you talking about crushes," he said, his voice low and almost conspiratorial. The way he spoke sent a shiver down my spine, as if he were privy to secrets we hadn't shared. The laughter faded, replaced by a heavy silence as we processed his words. It was a moment that felt surreal, as if we had crossed into a realm where the ordinary became unsettling. In that instant, the dugouts, once a sanctuary of friendship and laughter, transformed into a stage for an unexpected encounter that would linger in our minds long after the day ended. The mix of curiosity and discomfort hung in the air, leaving us all wondering what Patrick would say next and how we would navigate this strange interaction. It was a typical Friday night at Laura's house, where a small group of us had gathered for a sleepover. The atmosphere was cozy, filled with the warm glow of fairy lights strung across the living room and the faint sound of music playing in the background. We sprawled across the plush carpet, surrounded by snacks and blankets, sharing stories and laughter. As the night wore on, the conversation inevitably turned to Patrick, our socially awkward classmate whose peculiar behavior had become a frequent topic of discussion. We exchanged anecdotes about his odd habits, from his signature grey hoodie to his unsettling sunglasses, and how he always seemed to appear at the most unexpected moments. Just as we were deep in conversation, the doorbell rang, interrupting our laughter. Laura's mom went to answer it, and we barely paid attention, continuing to joke about Patrick's latest antics. But when Laura's mom returned, her expression was one of confusion. "It's Patrick," she said, her voice tinged with disbelief. We all exchanged glances, a mix of surprise and unease washing over us. How could he have known we were here? We hadn't invited him, and the thought of him showing up unannounced sent a chill down my spine. As Laura hesitantly opened the door, Patrick stood there, his grey hoodie pulled tight around him, and his sunglasses still perched on his nose despite the dim light. "Hey, guys," he said, his voice eerily calm. The room fell silent, and an uncomfortable tension settled in the air. It felt as if the walls were closing in, and the warmth of the evening was replaced by an unsettling chill. "I heard you talking about me," he continued, his gaze sweeping over each of us. I was summoned. The word hung in the air, and a shiver ran down my spine. It was a chilling moment, one that felt almost supernatural. How could he have known we were discussing him? The idea that he had somehow been drawn to us, as if by some unseen force, sent a wave of anxiety through the group. We exchanged nervous glances, our earlier laughter replaced by a growing concern. "Summoned," Laura echoed, her voice barely above a whisper. "What do you mean?" Patrick shrugged, a strange smile creeping across his face. "You said my name, didn't you? That's how it works." The connection we made about his name being mentioned felt like a dark thread weaving through the fabric of our evening, pulling us into a realm of unease. As we sat there, the atmosphere shifted from playful to ominous, and the laughter that had filled the room moments before felt like a distant memory. Patrick's presence loomed large, and we couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. The night had taken a turn, and we were left grappling with the unsettling reality of Patrick's unexpected arrival and the eerie implications of his words. It was a typical Saturday evening at Johnny's house, where a few of us had gathered for a movie night. The living room was dimly lit, the flickering light from the television casting shadows on the walls as we settled in with popcorn and soda. As the opening credits rolled, the conversation drifted toward Patrick, our classmate whose peculiar behavior had become a source of both fascination and discomfort. We began recounting stories of his oddities, from his habit of wearing sunglasses indoors to his unsettling tendency to appear out of nowhere. "Seriously, you guys don't understand how weird he is," I insisted, trying to convince Johnny, who had always been skeptical about our tales. "He just shows up at the most random times, and it's like you can sense when we're talking about him." Johnny rolled his eyes, dismissing our concerns with a wave of his hand. "Come on, you're just exaggerating. He's just a little socially awkward. It's not that deep." But as we continued to share our experiences, the atmosphere in the room shifted. The more we talked about Patrick, the more uneasy we felt. "I swear, if you say his name 3 times, he'll just appear," one of our friends joked, trying to lighten the mood. But Johnny, ever the skeptic, laughed it off. "Fine, let's test it. Patrick, Patrick, Patrick," he called out, his voice echoing in the quiet room. A tense silence followed, and we all exchanged nervous glances. The air felt charged, as if something was about to happen. I could feel my heart racing, a mix of fear and confusion settling in. "You're joking, right?" I asked, half laughing, half serious. But Johnny just shrugged, a smirk on his face, clearly unfazed by the unease that had crept into the room. Moments later, just as we were about to dismiss the whole thing as a silly prank, the doorbell rang. The sound sliced through the tension like a knife, and we all froze, our eyes darting toward the door. "No way," I whispered, my heart pounding in my chest. Johnny's expression shifted from amusement to disbelief as he slowly got up to answer the door. When he opened it, there stood Patrick, his grey hoodie pulled tight around him, sunglasses still obscuring his eyes. The sight of him sent a chill down my spine. "Hey, guys," he said, his voice eerily calm. The room fell silent, and the atmosphere turned heavy with an unsettling tension. Johnny's face paled as he processed the situation, his earlier bravado evaporating. "What are you doing here?" he stammered, clearly caught off guard. The rest of us exchanged horrified glances, our fears confirmed. Patrick's unexpected appearance felt like a manifestation of our collective anxiety, and the realization that Johnny's words had somehow summoned him left us all feeling vulnerable and confused. The night had taken a dark turn, and we were left grappling with the implications of what had just unfolded. It was a stormy evening, and I found myself home alone, the kind of night that felt heavy with an unsettling energy. The wind howled outside, rattling the windows and sending sheets of rain cascading down the glass. Thunder rumbled in the distance, a low growl that seemed to echo the unease I felt in my gut. I had settled into the living room, wrapped in a blanket, trying to distract myself with a movie, but the flickering light from the screen did little to chase away the shadows that danced in the corners of the room. As the storm intensified, I couldn't shake the feeling of isolation. The house creaked and groaned, each sound amplified by the howling wind. It was during this tense atmosphere that my mind wandered to Patrick, the classmate whose strange behavior had become a source of both intrigue and dread. I remembered the stories we had shared about him, the eerie moments when he seemed to appear out of nowhere, and the unsettling feeling that accompanied his presence. In a moment of reckless curiosity, I found myself whispering his name, half-jokingly invoking the very thing I feared. "Patrick," I said softly, a nervous laugh escaping my lips. "What if you just showed up right now?" The words hung in the air, and I immediately felt a chill run down my spine. I tried to dismiss the thought, but the storm outside seemed to respond, the wind picking up and rattling the windows even more violently. My heart raced as I glanced toward the window, the darkness outside swallowing everything in its path. Suddenly, a flash of lightning illuminated the yard, and in that brief moment, I saw a silhouette standing just beyond the edge of the porch. My breath caught in my throat as panic surged through me. The figure was unmistakably familiar, and I felt a wave of dread wash over me. It looked like Patrick, his grey hoodie blending into the shadows, but I couldn't be sure. The storm played tricks on my mind, and I felt paralyzed by fear. I scrambled to my feet, my heart pounding in my chest as I approached the window cautiously. The silhouette remained still, and I could feel the weight of its gaze, as if it were watching me. "This isn't funny," I whispered to myself, trying to convince my racing thoughts that it was just a trick of the light or a figment of my imagination. But deep down, I knew that invoking his name had somehow summoned this presence. The emotional turmoil was overwhelming. I felt a mix of fear, confusion, and an inexplicable sense of dread. The storm outside raged on, mirroring the chaos in my mind. I wanted to turn away, to retreat to the safety of my blanket, but I was rooted to the spot, unable to tear my eyes away from the figure outside. The tension in the air was palpable, and I could feel the walls closing in around me. In that moment, I realized that some things are better left unspoken, and the fear of the unknown was far more terrifying than anything I could have imagined. The day after that terrifying encounter, I awoke with a sense of dread still clinging to me like a heavy fog. The storm had passed, leaving the world outside eerily quiet, but the unsettling memories of the night before haunted my thoughts. I tried to shake off the fear, convincing myself it was just a figment of my imagination, but deep down, I knew something was off. As I stepped outside to gather my thoughts, the morning sun felt strangely muted, casting long shadows across the yard. As I wandered into the backyard, I noticed something unusual near the edge of the trees. My heart raced as I approached, and the sight that met my eyes sent a chill down my spine. There, partially hidden beneath a pile of damp leaves, lay a grey hoodie, Patrick's signature piece of clothing. It was unmistakable, the fabric worn and familiar, and it sent a wave of panic coursing through me. I knelt down, my hands trembling as I brushed away the leaves, revealing more of his belongings: a tattered notebook, a few crumpled papers, and even a pair of sunglasses, the lenses cracked and dirty. When I returned to school the following day, the absence of Patrick was palpable. His usual spot in the cafeteria was empty, and whispers filled the air as students speculated about his whereabouts. Some said he had transferred to another school, while others claimed he had simply decided to take a break. But deep down, I knew something was wrong. The unease that had settled over me since the night of the storm only deepened with each passing hour. I couldn't shake the feeling that Patrick's disappearance was somehow connected to the events of the previous night. The hoodie and belongings I had found felt like a dark omen, a sign that something had gone terribly awry. My friends and I exchanged worried glances, our conversations laced with uncertainty and fear. What had happened to him? Had he been in danger, or was he simply hiding away from the world, retreating into the shadows? The lingering fear surrounding Patrick's fate weighed heavily on my mind. I found myself replaying the events over and over, searching for answers that eluded me. The more I thought about it, the more I felt like I was caught in a web of mystery and dread, unable to escape the unsettling reality of what had transpired. The hoodie, the absence, and the unanswered questions loomed large, leaving me with a sense of foreboding that I couldn't shake. As I reflected on the unsettling experiences surrounding Patrick, a chilling realization began to take shape in my mind. His behavior, marked by social awkwardness and an unsettling intensity, hinted at deeper issues that could not be ignored. The possibility that Patrick might be struggling with mental illness loomed large, and I found myself grappling with the implications of this notion. Was he a mentally ill stalker, or was he simply a troubled individual seeking connection in the only way he knew how? The ambiguity of his actions left me feeling vulnerable and anxious, as I questioned the nature of our interactions and the boundaries that had been crossed. The impact of these encounters weighed heavily on me. Each time I recalled the moments when Patrick had appeared unexpectedly, a wave of fear washed over me. The thought of being followed, of someone lurking in the shadows, gnawed at my psyche. It was a fear that transcended the physical. It seeped into my thoughts, making me hyper-aware of my surroundings. I began to second-guess every noise I heard, every flicker of movement outside my window. The psychological effects of these experiences were profound, leaving me in a state of heightened anxiety that I couldn't shake. I felt as if I were constantly looking over my shoulder, haunted by the specter of Patrick's presence. Yet, as I delved deeper into my feelings, I couldn't help but reflect on the complexities of mental health and social interactions. Patrick was not just a figure of fear, he was a person grappling with his own demons. The line between fascination and fear blurred as I considered the possibility that his behavior stemmed from a place of pain and isolation. It was easy to label him as creepy or weird, but doing so stripped away the humanity of his experience. I found myself torn between the instinct to protect myself and the empathy I felt for someone who clearly struggled to navigate the world around him. In sharing these thoughts, I encourage viewers to consider the broader implications of mental health in our social interactions. It's crucial to recognize that behind every unsettling behavior may lie a story of struggle and hardship. While it's important to prioritize our safety and well-being, we must also strive to understand the complexities of those who may not fit neatly into societal norms. Patrick's story serves as a reminder that mental illness can manifest in various ways, often leading to misunderstandings and fear. As we navigate our own social landscapes, let's approach each interaction with a sense of compassion and awareness. The world can be a daunting place, and we never truly know the battles others are facing. By fostering understanding and empathy, we can create a more supportive environment for everyone, including those like Patrick, who may be silently suffering. In doing so, we not only protect ourselves but also contribute to a culture that values mental health and human connection. In this video, we've journeyed through a series of eerie experiences surrounding our classmate, Patrick, whose unsettling behavior left a profound impact on those around him. From his signature grey hoodie and sunglasses worn indoors to his unexpected appearances during moments of vulnerability, Patrick became a figure of both intrigue and fear. We explored the psychological themes that emerged from these encounters, delving into the complexities of social interactions and the fine line between curiosity and discomfort. Each story we shared highlighted the unsettling nature of being followed and the emotional turmoil that can arise from such experiences, prompting us to reflect on our own feelings of anxiety and unease. As we navigated through these chilling moments, it became increasingly clear that Patrick's behavior might stem from deeper issues, possibly related to mental health. This realization opened up a broader conversation about the importance of awareness regarding mental health and the social dynamics at play in our interactions. It's essential to recognize that behind every peculiar behavior may lie a story of struggle, and understanding this can foster empathy rather than fear. By acknowledging the complexities of mental health, we can create a more supportive environment for those who may be grappling with their own challenges. As we wrap up this discussion, I want to encourage you, our viewers, to engage with us. Your thoughts and experiences matter, and sharing them can help build a community of understanding and support. Have you ever encountered someone like Patrick? How did those experiences shape your perspective on mental health and social interactions? We invite you to share your stories in the comments below, as your insights could resonate with others who may have faced similar situations. If you found this video thought-provoking, please consider subscribing to our channel for more content that explores the intricacies of human behavior and mental health. Don't forget to like this video and share it with friends who might benefit from this discussion. Together, we can raise awareness and foster a dialogue that encourages compassion and understanding in our communities. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the unsettling world of Patrick and the psychological themes that emerged from our experiences. Let's continue to explore these important topics together, and remember that every story shared contributes to a greater understanding of the complexities of mental health and social dynamics. Your voice matters, and we look forward to hearing from you.